Welcome to Yakuza, Like a Dragon. You know the action game series, Yakuza? They made an RPG, a party-based RPG. There's my party. Hi guys. So, is it any good? Yeah, it turns out it's pretty good. It's also very slow. If you're just here for the review of the game, that's the review of the game. Good, but slow. I, however, want to talk about a lot of other details, so let's get to discussing. For me, the most important thing about this game is the theme. This game has a real sizzler of a theme, something new and interesting that I've not really seen before. A month before this game came out, we got two D&D based games entering into early access, and I know one of them is technically Pathfinder, it's all the same shit. I'm not against D&D based games, but as these newest games have proven, they have nothing to say. There's something wrong with how these games are written because they are always extraordinarily boring. There's no hook, there's nothing compelling about them, there's no theme running through them. And I ranted about it. I spent about a week complaining about it. And then Yakuza Like a Dragon came out. Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon is middle-aged midlife crisis the game. The main character is a man who spent most of his life in prison, so even though he's in his 40s, he wants to have the life that he never got to have. He wants to be able to hang out with friends and change the world and be a hero and all those things that young people want. And as he strives to do those things, despite having nothing and being homeless, he collects a batch of friends, a motley crew, a ragtag crew of people who have also failed to live up to their own expectations. This is the Yakuza universe, so everybody is destroyed by their own personal foibles, their own personal faults. That's what Yakuza is all about. And these people behind us are no exception. We got a cop who is too obsessed, and so he got fired twice. We've got a homeless guy who's only homeless because he couldn't prevent himself from selling drugs to make extra scratch. And we got a lady who is so hopeless at being friendly that she's never had a single friend, and her family is completely estranged. These people were brought low by their flaws, but the strength of this game is the stupid puppy dog that is the main character. He is the North Star around which everything revolves. And if his friends are flawed, he will literally just say, "That's fine, you're flawed. Let's go make the world a better place anyway, buddy." That is a powerful, powerful concept. This is a theme I haven't seen in an RPG before. Obviously, the idea of a stupid puppy dog main character that always tries hard is nothing new. But when's the last time that was a midlife crisis? Now, I really like this concept. It sparkles. It really draws my attention. It's fresh and new, and I just can't overstate how important that is. And it's not just some, idle thing where it's like, oh yeah, the shtick is great. No, this theme runs through the entire game. The entire game is about how your flaws have put you in a rut, but it's okay. You can push through. You can change your life. You can get out of that rut, even if you're flawed. It runs through everything. The side quests, the enemies, everything. I really just... It's such a great feeling of relief I have when I realize that the things I've been complaining about, they're right. A game with a good theme, a game with a good premise, a game that has something to say, it really does sparkle more. It really does make more of an impact. Because this game is very flawed. If you were to compare this game to Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 3 is probably technically better. It's more polished, it's got better balance and better pacing and prettier characters. But this game is just more fun. It sparkles. That isn't to say it's anywhere near flawless. It has a lot of flaws. Some of those flaws are pacing related. The first 3 hours of this game are a movie, and that shouldn't be the case. They should just not have had those first 3 hours. There's no reason for them. It is definitely the worst part of the game so far. They've also got some problems because they are a very conservative Japanese group which means that their characters are all stereotypes. We've got the hard-drinking cop. We got the homeless guy who still acts like he's a homeless guy, even though he has a home. And we've got the lady who does the lady stuff, like cooking and cleaning and shopping for fashion. And although their flaws brought them low, their characters never change. They remain these stereotypes regardless of what happens. That's a little bit of a shame. It's also not necessarily a bad idea. You can do a lot with that. But I would really have enjoyed seeing characters that weren't quite so stereotypical. And the same is true of all the NPCs. In Yakuza fashion, the NPCs are also standard Yakuza NPCs. Still, they come together pretty well. And if you can forgive the, slightly tone-deaf stereotyping, it's not bad at all. From a design perspective, the game claims to be based on Dragon Quest. It's only vaguely based on Dragon Quest. A lot of the details of how this is set up allow the game to make decisions that there's no way another game could have ever made. And in this way, it's quite similar to something like Disco Elysium, because the characters aren't real combatants. In an actual fantasy RPG, if you wanted to get an upgrade, you need better armor or a better sword or something similar, right? Or you get experience points and gold, and those are the three things that you're allowed to do. Realistic gear, experience points, and gold. This game has a breadth of capacity that is breathtaking, because we are not actual combatants. I'm swinging around a bottle of champagne. This person has a cartoon hammer. This lady has a sexy microphone. Because our gear is not technically combat gear, we can be rewarded with all sorts of weird, off-the-wall things like rulers. In addition, we have a ton of crafting capabilities, so therefore we can be rewarded with just plain old crafting gear, which obviously is something that happens in other games as well. But this is a situation where the crafting gear is really excessive and funny in its excess. So you pick up, look at this. I got 51 rough hides, and I sold 50 rough hides a little while ago. They just spam you with these random rewards. So we got a wide array of gear and a wide array of crafting utilities, and our health gear and stuff, our usabilities, all this stuff, all these things are usables. All these things have a wider variety than they would have if we were playing a realistic combat game where we would need to be actually combat capable characters with real swords and real equipment. Because it can be tongue-in-cheek, our rewards, our gear, our items can all be more interesting and flexible. And that means that if we do a side quest for someone, they're going to have something for us. Because they don't need to have a magic sword or a piece of armor. They can hand us a piece of lint, and somehow it will be relevant. There are a lot of other kinds of rewards. For example, you can get friends that you can call up on your phone. Oh look, we saved a crawfish, so now we can call a crawfish up and have her fight people for us. We saved a guy in a diaper, so we can call him up and have him fight for us. In addition to that, we also have the ability to change our personal stats, style, passion, confidence, and so on. So if we go into a side quest with no rewards, we can still come out the other side a better person because it improves our passion or our kindness. This kind of flexibility allows Yakuza Like a Dragon to have side quests that are off the wall and very immersive. These are things that you would have a very hard time doing in, say, a D&D based game, because their rewards would have to be very, very closely knit. They're like, one of these three things is your reward, and there's no other option. But because this game has such a breadth of possible rewards, it has that breadth of possible side quests. I think it's a very powerful way to do things. That said, I do wish that it was not the main character with these personality beats, because the main character's personality does not change. That is the point of the game. His style number may go up, but he doesn't actually get more stylish. His intelligence might go up, but it doesn't actually get more intelligent. There's no reflection of that in the actual game. You just get to talk to a couple of other people. I would have been far more interested in improving the personality stats of these NPCs, because these NPCs are very flawed characters. That's the whole point. They brought themselves low with their own flaws. Getting to remedy those flaws would have made it very, very compelling to have these people around us. Imagine trying to raise the ex-cop's kindness, or trying to have Nanba have better style. He seems pretty stylish here because I forced him to wear something nice. Or improving Psycho's kindness, or whatever her flaw is. I said kindness twice, but you get the idea, right? If these had been things assigned to the major NPCs, we would have been able to see that reflected in their own personal growth. It would have also been more fun because then those major NPCs could have been in a lot of the side quests rather than in none of the side quests. That said, that's mostly just a minor complaint. I'm just saying I wish it was more like Valkyrie Profile and less like Persona 4 Golden. But either way, it's like a pretty good game. And yeah, it turns out it is a pretty good game. There are some other things I want to talk about. There are some flaws, some serious flaws with some of the side games. They've gotten some pretty tired stuff baked in here as crowd pleasers, fan service stuff. You get a chicken as your main employee right off the bat, for example. You get a flood of characters from previous games that show up to be your employees, although it makes no sense and they're hugely overpowered. Their side quests end up derailing the pacing of the main game completely. Stuff like that, right? But for an RPG made by an action group, made by a team that makes action games, this is a phenomenal excursion. This is very good. I'm enjoying this far more than I enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3 or Solasta, and that is saying something because I liked those games. I thought they didn't have any spark, but I liked them. This game is just technically worse than Baldur's Gate 3, but it's so much more fun. And also the voice acting is just great. So if you are in the mood for a game about middle-aged men having a midlife crisis, this is an RPG that you will certainly love. And if not, you'll probably still like it because it's pretty good. See ya.